I wanted to know, since I started listening to your music, was how did you get the name? Now, Gengar from Pokemon, right?
Yes.
How is it a Double-Gengar? I want to know the story behind that.
Well, for weeks, I was sitting trying to come up with a name, and I had Post-it notes like all over my bulletin board of just names. And I had a bunch of Zombies Ate My Neighbors related names. I had some things that were just sort of dumb or silly names. And I was trying to narrow it down from like chip puns, video game jokes, or just video game references.
Yeah.
And I was actually going to settle on Dr. Tongue.
Dr. Tongue.
Or BLHR, which are both Zombies Ate My Neighbors things. But BLHR is just a code for the final 10 levels. And Dr. Tongue is the final boss. So I threw those out, and one day I just came up with the name Doppel-Gengar.
Okay.
Like Doppel-Ganger.
Okay.
But when I went on SoundCloud, I noticed there was a guy named Doppel-Gengar.
Oh, damn it.
Which stinks. So I put Double-Gengar. But that's basically how that came to be. So it's Doppel-Ganger, but Double-Gengar.
Right.
That and Gengar is my favorite Pokemon. And I thought that in the future I might actually just change it to Doppel-Gengar Chiptune. Okay. Because other people have names of other artists, and they just put Chiptune as like a surname to separate it. So if I do that, everybody will get a heads up.
You have a very cool pixelated cover art to that. What's the story behind that?
Well, the whole thing is on my Facebook. I don't know if it shows the entire thumbnail on SoundCloud, but it's the surrealist. Have you ever heard of the surrealist painter Magritte? I can't remember his first name at the moment.
Okay.
But he did a self-portrait. It's that famous painting of the man with the bowler hat and the apple over his face.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So what I did is I took that and I made it my self-portrait as pixel art, and I changed the background of the sea to be the city because of being in Philadelphia and making chip. So I made that with the cover being the Game Boy on my face instead of the apple.
Let me guess, art background, right?
Yes. No, actually, I'm a biochem. Actually, funny stories where all of us are, at least the people who live here, all my bros were animators, which is kind of funny. But yeah, heavy visual art background. I have like no experience in music.
Okay.
I don't know what I'm doing here. I used to hate chiptune. I used to hate it. Like when I was like 16, 17, my friends were like, "Oh man, listen to this guy bitch shifter," and I'm like, "Oh, screw that, I hate this." And then it took another friend of mine's animation to turn me on to, I think it was a Hexadecimal Genome, which is the song that got me starting to like chiptune. Really? And then I found Sheerbone, and that's what made me love chiptune.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
It's very strange. Like I used to just abhor the sounds, but I love it now.
Wow, so a piece of art is
just a silly little pixel guy dancing
it's
on DeviantArt, and like that with the song in it was what made me go, this is pretty good stuff. And I would listen to Bitshifter's album like every night.
Oh my God. Wow, all right. So I was reading your bio, and your bio says that you won a white Game Boy. And where's this place that they're giving away free Game Boys?
Well, let's fast or just go back in time.
Rewind.
We were all dead because we were finishing up our finals, and Chris had started looking up chip stuff in Philadelphia. So we go to a show at our school and see some weird dude with a Metroid hat and a guy named Chipocrit, and then he finds out about 8 Static. So we bring Josh.
Right.
And there's a raffle that night at 8 Static, and the 2 prizes are a bunch of CDs. I believe a few were signed, and it was like the first batch of Kitsch-Bent cases. There was only 2, and it was a white Kitsch-Bent case, and it had a electroluminescent backlight and Pro Sound, and that was the other prize. Oh, man. So Chris and I both entered the raffle, our very first time at 8 Static, and at the end of the night, we win both of the prizes. He wins the albums and I win the Game Boy. Wow. And I'm like, wow, those poor people that have been going there for a while, these new guys just come in and win everything. Yeah. So yeah, and
And we have it here.
Yeah.
Look at that.
And
Historic.
here it is. Actually, I probably would not even have started making chiptune unless I won this, because I was like, I'm totally going to buy one. I'm going to get one, a modded Game Boy.
Oh,
but knowing me, I would have been like, no. I made up some sort of excuse. So this actually really got me going, because after that I bought a cart. Josh gave me a version of LSDJ that was totally paid for.
All right.
And then,
no, but that's cool, because, like you said, you probably wouldn't have started if it wasn't for that.
It was, this is actually, I gave him a name. This is Excalibur.
Excalibur. All right, cool.
I've actually taken to naming all of my Game Boys, which is weird. But yeah, my other one is Pinky. Just Pinky, not Pinkie Pie.
Okay.
Sorry, Jake, no. But, yeah.
Cool. You have a lot of songs that are in WIP, work in progress. Is there any advantage to that, you find?
It's more of a way to tell myself that maybe I'll go back and revisit this. Because even my first two songs, I'm like, I kind of want to redo this less like, stupidly. If I can say that. I don't know, I want to go back and maybe revisit one of them or two of them. But the work in progress was more of a stamp going, yeah, I'm totally going to go back. And for the Song of Healing cover, I made that work in progress because I actually kind of rewrote it. And then I released that version, so I made the old one the work in progress. I think you've actually listened to both of those.
Yes, I did.
Yeah, it was more just like denoting that. And for the other one, it was an experiment, and I kind of just want to use stuff from it in the future.
Cool, cool. I saw you perform the song, the title is Fuck Me, right?
Yeah.
Tell me about this song. I saw you perform this in Pulse Wave, I remember, in New York.
Well, the song just started. I started writing it, and it started sounding neat. And we have this running joke about the best thing one of our teachers at our school never said. Because we would joke about it in one class he taught that was kind of unbearable to be in because he didn't know what he was doing. And we have an impression of him. So one day we're talking, and he basically did not like our friend Paul, threw him out, and didn't like the way he behaved in class. So one day we're just like, oh man, well you could behave in my class, but fuck me, right? So I named it after that because I was sort of in a period of time where I was frustrated with schoolwork and everything. We didn't have him anymore, but that joke evolved. So it's kind of pseudo dedicated to him.
That's cool. Wow.
So yeah,
if you only knew, if you only knew, right?
he would probably be like, oh, it's pretty interesting.
All right. I also like Mimic. It's something. Well, when I listen to it, my interpretation, it feels kind of like a song you would hear in a bonus stage or something. Tell us about that song.
Funny thing is, actually, it's the very first song that I started writing in cartridge on, because I was messing around with the emulator, making just things. But the first completed song was Mimic, and I was just trying a bunch of things out. And it was because of the combined viewings of Defiant Systems tutorial things and Danimal Cannon's advanced tutorial that I got that together.
Wow.
And that was the first completed song I ever did. And I was sort of going for, I don't know, it started sounding like a boss battle, in a cave or in space or something.
Yeah. I can see that.
But yeah, it was neat. I wanted to make it dancey. I thought it was. Looking back, I'm like, what am I doing? I'm looking at the file and I'm like, what is this?
I'm sure there's better file structure now that you've spent more time to it.
I'm obsessive.
It's probably all over the place.
Yeah, I'm it's all in 4s on every single thing.
Yeah.
I make sure to use 0 through A on 1, and if I need to go up, I edit it here and there.
Right. Let's talk about the song "And We All Leave." What's the story behind that song?
I kind of wanted to make, how I feel like I've read a description of Null Sleep's music once. That is it's romantic electronic sound, and I'm like, I want to write something that sounds nice and romantic and/or epic. So it was actually in preparation for McGranaman, wherever he is. I don't know. We haven't seen him in a while. For his little party he had in November that we kind of played, and that's also why I rewrote the Song of Healing. But I wrote that as a series of experiments, and I was like, I'm going to make a song that's heavily chord based. And it was supposed to be about, I don't know, I was writing it thinking like sadness or like the stuff that happens after like a fight or,
Right.
or whatever, but also like to be happy. It's weird. I bad at explaining it. But yeah.
It's a lot of like I would say classic like Game Boy sounds and stuff like that on that particular track.
Yeah, I actually reused. I think I reused the bass I made for like the wave bass that I used in the Song of Healing, which is it's an NES bass like from the tutorial, but I modified it a lot to give it that echoey sound. I like the sound of the NES bass. I like the video game basses a lot. My favorite's the Sega Genesis bass, but I can't make that yet. But
Finally, what do you enjoy more? Do you enjoy playing or enjoying a chip show? Because I've seen you like really enjoy a chip show. You're dancing and you're like making everybody laugh. But you know, playing also has its its great rush. You know, what would you say you enjoy more differently?
it's tough to say. Answer that question.
Yeah.
I still feel like I'm hella awkward on either thing. I remember the first time, you ever seen the first video of me? I'm just a rock. I'm like, look at the screen, look at the screen, look at the screen, and I bob, and I'm like, crap, I thought I moved more, but I don't know. They're both very. It's good to just be a part of it in general.
Mm-hmm.
Although I'm trying to be more lively during the chip shows, and I'm still like messing around with live mode, but I'm bad at it, so it's like not there but kind of there.
That's tricky, yeah, it's tricky
So
stuff.
I have little dances, and yeah. As for the dancing, I gotta work up with a few beers, and then I'm like out there, like,
yeah.